It's not just a marketing move that we did 22 years ago to introduce online learning, but also a need to cope with the changes in a digital society.
I think you have to find a person in every institution that is the innovator.
If online education is well prepared, of course, there are criteria how to prepare something to be fully online. Then there is no reason that it is of the same quality as the face-to-face courses. Let's not forget that face-to-face education can be poor, same as the online. Technology will not change the quality, it can just improve the quality.
We can improve teaching and learning methods also at traditional universities. And there are plenty of models and combinations. How can we, combine online and traditional with all, formats in between?
In many respects, I'm going to argue that the quality of online education is much more obvious to assess than actually campus-based traditional face-to-face education. We very rarely know what happens when the lecture door room closes and the lecturer is in there talking with the lecture hall, theatre, or a seminar style room, tutorial room. That's a private space that we don't get to see. Actually, online, it's quite possible to see what's going on, what level of activity is taking place. There's an archive of that. We even have learning analytics, as it's often called these days, that can give you dashboard type data to give you indications of the level of interactivity and so forth. So I think we just need to be a bit careful that we don't treat online education as completely differently from campus-based education when it comes to quality assurance requirements. Actually, I'm in favor of having exactly the same quality assurance. I don't see why you would have anything different, because the outcomes is what we should be focusing on. There are different ways of getting to the outcomes, to the learning outcomes I'm referring to.
Online learning can bring human contact. Yes, sometimes there are prejudices against the online learning, but our students, for example, select us for flexibility.
Let's not divide this anymore. I think first we were talking about e-learning, learning, then e-learning. It's learning. Just because we are using digital technologies, it's not different. We are using digital technologies in our everyday life, and we are accustomed to. Why do we want so badly to move out digital technologies from education and preserve what was being before? This is something this puzzles me. We are moving from teacher-centered to the student-centered model. And this is what Bologna brought to us in 2005, 2006. It's not an easy change, where teacher who was the dominant person with the knowledge and about certain topics were the sage on the stage, yes.
The worst thing is if a teacher's view on online learning is that this is simply transfer his lecture by video conferences. And unfortunately, we faced too many cases during COVID, of such mistaken view.
Why do I need now to use digital technologies? Why do I need to change anything? Because the society, the world is evolving and things are changing, and the schools of education definitely have to implement different courses with different topics, how the new teachers will teach the students.
Micro-learning is promising and applicable learning method also in higher education, which offers achieving objectives of higher level and bring to students very important experience of an authentic learning, which is of prime importance for their future work.
These are some surveys we did at the University Computing Center to identify competencies teachers need, and this was in 2019. So you can imagine what that these competencies they still lack even today, although some of them they have gained during the COVID. But this just show that how much we have to invest into the people, the teachers who are going with education on their shoulders to bring what we have to give to the students to be able to work in the market future. Because if we want that our students be innovative digital students tomorrow and today, we need digital competent teachers as well.
Students choose, ironically, the institution that's closest to them. So despite the opportunity to study globally, and now when I say that, there are always exceptions when the program is appropriate and it's not offered. But by and large, what we know is that the student will choose the institution that's closest, that's offering something online.
What we have to do as online educators, and I do this myself all the time, is I have to check with my students all the time because they are individuals, they're unique, they've all got their own problems. And I offer them time. I try to respond to their messages as quickly as I can, usually within the day, usually within the hour, because it's important for them when they send you a message of help that you try to respond to it quickly. So I think support needs to be in there.
Today, we are overwhelmed with informations. Students can get information on one click, and teacher now has different role. When we are moving to the student center model, now the teacher is getting the new role of the tutor, of the person who is guiding students through the learning process. We are now wanting that our students are actively engaged in the learning process. They are responsible for their achievements, you know.
And everybody in the workplace has a unique position and a unique set of skills and competencies to offer. So I think the most important thing to think about when we talk about personalized and personal learning, and I'll come to the differential between the two in a moment, is that it should be immediate and authentic learning that can be applied directly in the workplace. So structures like learning management systems are fine. They do a certain amount of job, but it's the learning that takes place outside of that that's equally important to students there. They'll go where their friends are. They'll use the learning management system when they have to, and they'll use their Facebook and other social media when they want to, because that's where their friends are, and that's where the social world is. So they're looking at creating their own personal learning environments.
We need to know our students. We need to understand what they have at their disposal.
Where you've got many students in the room, I think it's not a case of creating resources so much that are personalized, but creating opportunities and activities that are personalized. Effective learners need to be able to learn on their own. They need to be independent, if you like. And I think all of us, when we leave school or university and we go into the workplace, that's quite a shock, because suddenly the scaffolding isn't there anymore. You have to kind of learn almost on the job. There are apprenticeships, of course, there is supervision. But when it comes to actually learning and applying your knowledge, it's often very difficult to find your feet in the first instance.
Just to say that what we're really seeing in the future of education at the moment is this tension between people who see education in change and we have to respond to it, as distinct from education for change. And I would challenge you over the next few hours to think about what are the changes that we want to see in education, not those that are being imposed on us by future takers. We want to be future makers, and there are some future fakers around as well. This is more about a mindset to continue to experiment, to continue to innovate, and to continue to enhance.
So just for me, just in time, just enough, I would say has got to become the new, I suppose, learning economy, especially in the current crisis. I think, like Sandra says, we're still in emergency mode teaching.
Definitely the pandemic put into the center online and remote learning. And this is not the only option, online learning. So flexibility of learning in time and space, which is offered by or possible by technology.
Digital isn't anything new anymore. Digital is the normal. So the idea that we can somehow go back, I think, is very naive.
I think it's not a question, do we need online education, but to shape the education to our needs. So maybe somewhere it's better to do something with the less technology. Somewhere it will be better to use more of them. The proper way of use of digital technology is the right issue. So let's not use technologies for the sake of technologies. Let's know why we want to implement them and use them, how they can enhance the quality of what we are doing. So yes, I am for online education, but it should be designed according to the needs of programs, students, learning environment, and things like that.
So it's about support, I think, more than anything.